Hello and welcome to All for United WFC. It's slightly different from what you'd normally expect on a fan preview. I get the opportunity usually to sit just where Laura's sat right now, that side obviously, and I just get to be the one that just chats rubbish, basically. But now I can't because, as you may have noticed, Connor is not here. What could have possibly happened? Is it the weight of the quiff just holding him down and he's unable to get out of his chair? No. He's got man flu. Man flu. Honestly, the way he's responded to me, I've brought back flu from London, as if it doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. Honestly, outrageous. So here I am in the hope that he will feel better. We have got a slight guest problem insofar as our other Arsenal fan has not yet managed to arrive. But we're hoping that we can slide him in. But we do have the lovely Laura, who we introduced to you all during the World Cup. And what a wonderful person she was too. But today, she's an Arsenal fan. So hello, Arsenal fan. How are you?
Hello, good to be back after the World Cup. Slightly different circumstances. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm looking forward to this one, but yeah, it was certainly good to chat.
Well, I'm looking forward to it as well. And like I say, we do hope that the other Arsenal fan can arrive, because if he does, it won't feel quite so bad. Otherwise, it will just feel like me and Vic just hanging up on a poor defenceless Arsenal fan, which would not be right. So we shall see. Speaking of which, we've got Vic, which some would say is a massive upgrade to me doing the talking. So how are you getting on, Vic?
I'm good, thank you. Glad to be back.
Excellent. And we are glad to have you back as well. So let's get into it, shall we? It has been a long time coming, and what a massive game to kick off pretty much the WSL season. We've both had a game, but we're going to have to speak to you first, Laura, about the Jonas contract. And the reason for this being, as I said to you backstage, we had people in our comments who were saying if Jonas loses one or two more games, he could well be facing the sack. And the Arsenal board have responded by going, have a 3-year contract, sir. Where do you think that puts Arsenal? Where do you think that puts Jonas? Where does that put the fans? Because I dare say there's probably one or two that might have been wondering the same as some of our fans. What's your take on the whole Jonas situation?
Yeah, I was having exactly the same thoughts of, he's probably in a pretty difficult position right now, not getting Champions League, which is obviously an expectation for Arsenal, losing the first game at the Emirates with little excuse other than a shortened preseason. So yeah, I think there were certainly those questions going around. So I think the choice is clearly a choice. Like, they don't just kind of get him to sit down today and sign a contract. That's been done for a while, or for at least a certain amount of time, and they can announce it when they like. So they've obviously made a choice to do it today. And I think maybe with those conversations floating around, it's almost sensible in some ways to kind of take that off the table, because that gives him that little bit of extra time, that little bit of kind of wiggle room, if you like, to potentially fail or not have those questions asked of him. I think you can only mitigate it so far. A loss tomorrow is going to certainly raise some questions about that decision. But I do think it potentially just is a show of confidence from the club, and I don't think it's necessarily the most ridiculous decision from Arsenal. Albeit I want him to see him do better. I think it takes the pressure off the squad and him a little bit.
It's a very interesting way of putting it. Where do you come along, Rick, on this one? Because I genuinely, when I heard that he'd got a new contract, was a bit surprised. In a way, is that quite a good thing to see a club backing their manager and saying, well, no, this is our man, this is the person that we want to lead the club, and showing that actually, no, we're behind him, and it sounds like that at least give him the whole season to see what he can do.
Yeah, I agree with you, Barry. I was surprised, but it doesn't really bother me either way. If he'd gone, it doesn't bother me. He's staying, doesn't bother me. At the end of the day, it's his job. He does what he does, and crack on. We'll see how you get on, and like it is with any manager, it doesn't bother me what manager they have. At the end of the day, doesn't faze me at all.
Man United fan right there. Yeah, there we go. Don't care, Barry, really. That's just It's Jonas Eidevall. If we were talking about Mark Skinner, and that, I mean, let's put it that way then. So if it was Mark Skinner, and we'd just gone out of the Champions League, we lost our first game of the season, would you at this point be starting to wonder, actually, maybe I would be worrying about his future, or would you be supportive of a 3-year contract?
I think I'd be supportive. At the end of the day, I think, like, as a team, you gel together, don't you? At the end of the day, you want that gel to stay together. You don't want, missing pieces. And I think a manager is a big part of that. And, I really like Mark. I'll back him wherever. So I think he's done really good by us. And I think he will carry on doing. If it was that it got really, really, really bad, obviously there was discussions, I would still be the one that's saying, but like, he's Man United's manager. So at the end of the day, he's our manager. Get on with it and crack on.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a lot to look forward to, I think, over the course of the next 40 minutes or so. But I think we've got to start, and I'm sorry for this, Laura. I'm not sorry for this, Laura, at all. We've got to start with last season. We've got to start there because, for me, that was a massive turning point for Manchester United going forward anyway. The fact that we had that 3-2 win at the Emirates was absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. And to do it in the manner that we did it as well, at the Emirates, in the last minutes, 7 minutes for those that can't remember that, 7 of extra time. And we scored right at the beginning of them, which made the 7 minutes terrible. We'd have preferred to have had 3 rather than panicking that we were going to let it go again. But we had all of that football played, Laura. What did you make of the 2 games that were played last season? Obviously, we had the 1-0 Russo scoring against you as well at LSB. And just huge games. What did you make of the turnaround for Man United? And are you worried that, without beating any bones about it, that we're just taking over from where you guys were?
Obviously, massively disappointing results last season as an Arsenal fan. I think, did both those games have serious injuries in them for us? I'm pretty sure both of them. So, to an extent, like, for me, it's almost like we were in an exceptional position. You lose 2 key players in both those games, and I just think that mentality, and especially the way in which you won that second one 3-2. How, as a team, do you see you lose your captain, or not your captain, but the kind of Leah Williamson, the figurehead of the team, and then kind of sustain it? So, to me, those games felt very annoying in the sense that I don't think you saw the best of Arsenal, because I don't think you were playing us at our best, because we had some a mentality changing event in both those games. So from my perspective, that's how I saw those results, and I thought it was really unlucky that we received those injuries in both of those games, and I think they played a big factor in that. That's not to say I'm not hugely worried about tomorrow, but that's more as a result not of those games last season, because I think for us, I can isolate them because of the events that happened in those games. I'm not saying, not any disservice to United, they were clearly excellent in both those games, but I don't think Arsenal were playing at their best, and the best Arsenal last season, I still think would have beaten United last season. But I think tomorrow is huge because we're not performing anywhere near where we were last season. So yeah, it does scare me a lot.
I mean, it's a fair point. Absolutely. The injuries were both, and still don't have the players back from them just yet, in terms of Beth Mead and of course, Leah Williamson as well. So some big moments in those games. But Vic, what did you make of it? Because I don't know if you were in the away end for the Emirates game, but it honestly ranks. I mean, I've had some great moments. I was at Wembley Stadium for the first ever competitive final when Stevenage won their game against Kidderminster, and we came back in the last minute just like that as well. And I went from virtual tears of despair to tears of joy, because it was wonderful to see my local club do so well. But this, it just overshadowed it. It was absolutely unreal. We were bouncing for 30 minutes afterwards. The stewards just had to, through gritted teeth, just let us do our thing. It was absolutely superb. The May Laetitia song was bouncing out. There were people taking pictures of it. Honestly, it was just such a great evening. And then, of course, we go and beat them again at LSB, which I think was the true test. You were asking yourself, could you do the double? And we did. What did you make of both those games? And how did that change your sort of mentality towards the team?
I mean, the Emirates was just unreal. Like, unreal. And, you know, when you think of Manchester United, you think of Fergie time. And we've done that a lot last season. And we've started doing it as well this season in the only game we've had. And I hope we don't leave it too late tomorrow. Get it done and dusted in the first half, I hope. But yeah, I mean, to me, I do sympathise a little bit with the injuries. But to me, if you've got depth in a squad and you think you've got a good squad, you should have players to come in and be able to do the same job. And I think that's what we've struggled with in the past. And, you know, if you've got a good team, you've got a good team, despite injuries. And I do, like I said, I do sympathise with them a little bit. The fact that they did have two, I'm pretty sure they were both ACLs as well, weren't they? So they did have both those in games. But like I said, you should have the depth that someone else can come on and do the exact same job because they all train together. So they should be playing the same. So as much as they can. So I do think, you know, I mean, with injuries, it happens. You've got to be prepared for that. And I think, I mean, obviously, the goal scorer for both of the games of the winners isn't ideal going into tomorrow. But like I said, we've got that depth now that we've got other players that can step up. And, you know, I mean, she hasn't shown up at Liverpool the other day, so hopefully she has another game like that. But yeah, I just think at the end of the day, if you've got that depth in the squad, then injuries or not, you should be able to still win or at least come on and have, you know, play your minutes exactly the same as the other player would play.
Oh, it's a tough one. We're getting a few bits in here about the injuries. Obviously, Highlane is quite clear on what his thoughts are. The fact that Chelsea had several key players injured at various points last season, they still prevailed. Talking about the timing, I think the thing is that the Bethmead injury wasn't just a sort of a 2-weeker. You know, it put her out for the entire season. So it meant she was going to be out for our game at LSB also. And then the same with Leah Williamson. When she gets injured, it's a whole season thing. And I think, you know, I'm not just trying to be kind just because we don't want to gang up on Laura today. But genuinely, it's one of those where if you were to look at us, if we got Mary Earps injured, for example, last year, if we'd have had Battier injured and Russo injured, would we have still finished third? Would we still be sitting there going, oh, you should have the strength, you should have all of this, you should have the in-depth stuff? And actually, sometimes, even though you might have perfectly adequate replacements, you get those sort of talismanic players that actually, if you don't have those in the team, can be a bit of a problem. So maybe we're being a little bit harsh in terms of the depth, but equally, you know, I'm glad they didn't because we won. So, you know, all of that is prefaced by the fact that I am a Man United fan. So, you know, that's life. But yeah, I mean, really big results. And as a result, that's taken us into this season. And I suppose if we take a little look at the first games of the season, Laura, looking at the Arsenal one, I suppose we've got to start with the Euros because that one was really tough for you guys. I watched that. I don't mind admitting I actually signed up to the Arsenal website just so I could stream it. And I won't lie to you, I watched it because I hoped that something was going to go wrong with Alessia Russo, that she'd miss an open goal or something like that, so I could sit there and chuckle. I actually felt quite bad for her for the way it ended at the end because she scored an absolute banger to pull that tie level. And you really did fight hard against Paris, and Paris fought hard equally as well. Came down to a penalty shootout in the end, which is a bit of a lottery. But how much has that dented your hopes for the season going forward? Because, you know, that's something that you pride yourselves on, the fact you might have the chance to have Champions League football. With it not being there now, it's obviously a bit of a negative, but does that just mean you're going to concentrate more on the league and hopefully have the chance to push Chelsea a bit further? Sorry.
Yeah, I think psychologically it's really tough because you go through losing that. You've got people chatting about how they booked out the Emirates for it, blah, blah, even though that's just a logistical point that we had to do that if we were going to host it there. But yeah, there's like this whole kind of psychological thing that comes with losing the Champions League. And then you go into the season, and not only have you lost the Champions League, but you come in with this, oh well, Arsenal can now win the league because they've got all of that to focus on, and the pressure becomes 10 times higher in the other competitions that you go into. So I think psychologically for the squad, that's quite tough to deal with. I think another thing that the Champions League qualifiers did was like massively disrupt a kind of shortened preseason anyway. So I think for the preseason that we had wasn't ideal due to the World Cup. I'm not saying that's not the same for every team, but then having those qualifiers for the Champions League also adds just an extra, like, you've got to do game prep in the middle of your preseason when you just want to be nailing down kind of chemistry and all that stuff with got a lot of new signings. So yeah, I think it's thrown definitely a spanner in the works, and I think it's a really tough one to take for fans and players alike. I know I was so disappointed after that. I just moved into a new flat and didn't have Wi-Fi yet, so I didn't have enough data to stream the match. So I was just like frantically updating Twitter for those penalties, which was a horrible moments. But yeah, went absolutely wild when Jem Beattie scored, and then all went downhill really. But it's really tough, and I think we showed that we had kind of grit in that game to come back into it, and I think we can carry that through. But I think that opening day loss is another kick in the teeth, really.
Yeah, not an easy one at all. Meanwhile, Vic, whilst they were in the middle of fighting for their Champions League future, we were sat there fighting for the opportunity to find out what on earth was happening during pre-season, who's playing, who's not playing, what was the score, has anyone done anything good, has anyone injured. We just had like complete blackout. We didn't really know what was happening during pre-season. How much did that sort of hamper your enjoyment, I suppose, of the product? Because really we sit there and think, you know, we're looking forward to the start of the season, we're looking forward to all of that, but actually there was just this gap where things were happening and we're just going, well, tell us about it, and we're just getting little snippets. Was that quite annoying for you?
No, I'm the opposite. I actually quite like that. It does infuriate me a little bit because I'm like, oh, I do want to see, but I enjoy having to wait, and then it makes it more exciting for me to go to the first game of the season, and that is just the way I look at it. The fact that, you know, I don't mind what they're doing in training, you get to see your snips and things like that, but then when they walk out to the first game at Villa the other day, I didn't know what to expect, and I like that. I like the thrill of that. And yeah, and I quite like it. I didn't watch the Arsenal Champions League game. I did watch the penalties, but it was like a few days later. Just like the clips of it. But no, I wasn't interested in watching it, so I didn't watch it. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, no, I'm not bothered about the preseason thing. I mean, the only thing I would say is I do not want them to leave deadline day that late ever again, because that was actually really stressful, and that stressed me out more than pre-season. I like the thrill of having to wait to see what they've got in the locker.
You're the sort of person who opens your Christmas presents late at night, aren't you?
We open them on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you wanted to wait for everything else, but come Christmas, no, we've got to do it before it starts. Well, that's blown my mind.
We're that busy on Christmas Day. We stay up late and do it on Christmas Eve.
That's uncovered that one, Vic. I'm sorry. Outrageous behaviour. Then obviously we've spoken about all that. Listen, there's a couple of things that have come on in the comments that I just need to address. So Dave had a question. Don't know where he's gone. There he is. If I can find the words and remember what I said, absolutely, I shall perform that for you at the end of the show, and we shall get a rating from Laura, see whether or not she enjoys that particular song or not. I'm guessing not, but yes, we could probably try that. There was also Yashui. We're a PG family rated show, so I can't whack what you put up there, but I will say it, and we'll just edit it out a little bit. So it says, Kim Little is really rather good. All rivalry goes out the window. Watching her, she's just brilliant to watch. And that's what I mean. It was a really nice thing for you to write. But yeah, Connor might sack me if I start dropping F-bombs. So you've got to be careful on that sort of stuff. And I've lost the other one, which is a real shame because it was a good point. There it is, that one. So it's from Chad. He says, the women's team actually deserves to play at Old Trafford. Going to be a great game, though. I'm hyped. Jays looks awesome at the minute. Wow. And, I mean, this is an interesting one. So we're going to put it from both points of view. The big stadiums, Laura, you had a lot of games now in the Emirates. Do you find, or do you prefer, being in the sort of the more closed confines of Boreham Wood, where you have the ability to, I mean, I'm going to say this, potentially sing and get a little bit of volume and you have close proximity to the people around you? Or do you prefer the being in the Emirates, knowing that it's the iconic stadium that it is, but the fact that people are going to be dotted around a bit more and maybe therefore the atmosphere takes a bit of a tumble? Which sort of one do you prefer? Because I think that's the problem that's going on with women's football at the moment, is that they can sell out the internationals, but they're not selling out all of the domestics just yet.
Yeah, I think atmosphere wise and like just strength of the team in terms of familiarity with what they know, and I think you kind of Boreham Wood is unrivaled at the moment for atmosphere with Arsenal, and I think that can add a kind of support from the crowd in some ways more than the Emirates does. But I think with the numbers we're starting to see at the Emirates, it's getting that way. We just don't have the kind of atmosphere to kind of sing as loud as that stadium requires, because you kind of get pockets of fans in the singing section, but from where I was, I couldn't hear them at all. So I think it's a real toss up, because until you start making that transfer and making that move, that's only going to come sooner, with time and like putting by emphasizing the Emirates now, we're going to have it sooner than anyone else. We're going to have that atmosphere at the Emirates sooner than anyone else. We're going to have sellout crowds. I mean, 54,000 was incredible. That was the one good thing to come out of the weekend for Arsenal. It was an incredible attendance. And once you start promoting that more and more and more, it's going to get better. So I think making that transition is necessary, but you might go through, I think there is a period you definitely go through where you lose that atmosphere a little bit, for sure.
Just hunting for my words for Dave. I think I found them. I can't be sure. It looks like it. Yes, I have, Dave. So we can do that. And Connor, when will you learn? When will you learn? It's guaranteed now, isn't it? I've written that down. Connor Brill Cream song. So there you go. Sing along a Barry a little bit later on. Vic, talk to me. What are you preferring? LSV? Because it's interesting. Yeshui's put in there, LSV's got room to grow, whereas Boreham Wood doesn't. Boreham Wood is a little bit smaller than LSV, doesn't quite have the capacity. What do you reckon? Which would you prefer? Would you have rather it was under the lights at Old Trafford or under the lights at LSV next to Morrison's?
I mean, what infuriates me is we don't actually sell out LSV. Like, they say it's sold out and then it's not sold out. So, I mean, it says it's sold out tomorrow, so let's see how many is in attendance, because I guarantee there's not going to be every seat's going to be used. So that is my only thing. But I do think, I mean, Old Trafford last year at, was it West Ham? West Ham last year?
At Old Trafford?
Yeah.
No, I feel like it was Villa at Old Trafford, but I could be wrong. And I'm sure if I am, someone's going to come in the comments and tell me, because they love to be.
I thought it was West Ham, like March time. But anyway, it was.
Could have been both. You like claret and blue at Old Trafford?
No, I don't know who played there, actually. Anyway,
Ooh.
there you are. Okay, so
love it when I'm right.
So it was noisy, to be fair, but again, like, the stadium is okay, we were both right. There we are.
Hey,
Remembered one.
High
but yeah, so it was noisy, but the stadium is that big. It's not as noisy as it is at LSV. And I do feel like, obviously, Leeds Sports Village is our home at this moment in time. But I do feel, and it's also easier to get to. Old Trafford is a pain to get to, I have to say. it is literally, I find LSV so much easier to get to. Old Trafford is a nightmare. But yeah, I mean, I think as maybe the years go on, I do think it will progress. But I do think now we need to have, last year if we had two matches at Old Trafford, there should be more than that. I mean, we're going to have the derby at Old Trafford. That's going to be unreal. And I think that will be a game that proves the fact that we can play in bigger stadiums, because that is going to be a great game. But yeah, I just think that we need to still need to build before we're fully in the bigger stadiums.
Very good. Okie dokie. So, we have loads of quick things coming on here. So, first of all, Dave's put, what's the highest attendance we had at LSB? It's a 12,000. That's John Commode. You need to ask that question too. I'm quite good at stats. I don't know. It was a lot, though. I feel like we hit the 10,000 barrier. But
I was going to say, I think it's like 10,500 or something like that.
Tony's disagreeing with us. He's like, not yet at 8,000. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I thought it was 10, but then that could have been somewhere else. I don't know is the honest answer. I don't have the time to look for it right now, but you could Google it and that might help me. So that'd be great. Let's have a little look over here at the other two things, because I'm gobsmacked. It's almost like karaoke. I'm not doing that. Your song by Elton John. Absolutely not. I'm nowhere near enough to drink for that. But this has cut me to my very heart. Jennifer Jordan, she who is always so praiseworthy of me, is like, no, leave Connor alone. At least he has hair to grease. I've been mugged right off by Jen. So I'm going to go away and cry in a bit. But whilst I wait, oh my God. Yeah, it's all right. I'm getting there, mate. Don't worry. So, where were we on that one? I've completely lost my thread now after Jennifer just stabbed me right in the heart with that one. So we've done the Euros. First game of the season. That was it. So the first game of the season, obviously for us, was quite a good one. For you guys, not so much. A little 1-0 defeat there at home at the Emirates again to Liverpool, which is a tricky one for us because, let's be brutally honest, that's one we don't want to see either side win. But unfortunately, that's football. Somebody's got to. So you were there. Talk us through your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings on that match, and if there was anything there that gives you hope going into the game tomorrow night.
I was more than happy for you to forget the section, to be honest. It's. I don't think there was anything that gave me hope. I mean, Lena Hurtig coming on as a substitute was about the most exciting it got, which says a lot. I thought the formation didn't really suit us. I think the most exciting thing is that we potentially got the services of Noel Moritz back, because our formation, we played 3-4-3. We had Chloe Lacasse at right wing back. And I don't know what Jonas was thinking with that, but that just seemed ridiculous, because Chloe Lacasse in those Champions League games, I thought it looked really exciting, running at defenders on that right wing up front. And suddenly she's playing right wing back and being made to defend, and that's not what she does. Like, I didn't understand that one. We looked lethargic, we looked slow, we looked disjointed. Just never really, like, we had chances, but we never really looked like scoring. The last 10 minutes, we had like shots, and you kind of like, there was the ooze, but you just know they weren't going in. And I think that was kind of the story of the game. They seemed to just walk through us for their goal. Lotte Wubben-Moy and Jen Beattie at the back together just doesn't work. And I hope Amanda Illestedt starts tomorrow for us. Yeah, I don't know. Will he stay with a 5 or a 3 at the back? I'm not sure. I think 4-3-3 works best for us, but we've obviously got these defensive problems and no right back. It will be interesting. There wasn't much hope there for me. Maybe the kind of mentality of we're facing Liverpool, it should be an easy match, played a role, and hopefully we'll kind of go to United with a completely different mentality. But that shouldn't be the case, and it would be really disappointing if that was the case. I just think we looked off the pace, and it wasn't a nice game to be at. Let's just say that.
The people there feeling the burn of cheering for a Scouser. There we go. But this is an interesting point here, Laura. I think this new Arsenal kit will be distracting for our players this weekend. Would you go along with that one?
I quite like it. I think it's the new away kit that Stella McCartney's done. I think it's pretty cool that we've got a. I mean, if they were wearing the men's one, then I absolutely agree. But I think the women's one's slightly kinder on the eyes, and I think I've liked it just because it's kind of only the women's. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's not the best design in history, but I think it's pretty cool.
Fair point. The people have been speaking and they've done the job. So lots of people coming back, but we're going to highlight this one. James Newhill's found it. 7,864 is the address, which we'll all agree is very close to 10,000 against City. It was our last home game. So there you go. And thank you. I know you did. You're only guessing. It's not a problem. Let's go over to the wonderful Victoria. And it's a much more positive side for us because despite the fact that at 1-1 it looked like we might be in the mud somewhat, up steps Rachel Williams, the perennial last-minute goal scorer, just bashes one in with her head over a fantastic goalkeeper in the World Cup in Van Domsela. And all of a sudden, we've got the 3 points. How reassuring was that to see that, and again, I'm sorry, Laura, we still have that knack of scoring the goals in the last minute and that ability to keep going all the way through till the end. Just how reassuring was that? And does that give you the positivity, the encouragement, the good vibes that we've got a good chance still tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to repeat what I said when I saw that Rachel Williams was coming on. I was like, what are we doing? But I mean, she proved me wrong again. I really like Rachel Williams, to be fair. But I would like to see one of our new players come on and see what they've got. I mean, it was the same when Nikita Paris came on. I was like, oh, I want to see somebody else. But I mean, Rachel Williams, isn't she? She's just... literally. Yeah, I mean, Rachel Williams, she's just incredible. I mean, she goes on about saying that she's a plasterer, and it just makes me laugh. I just love her. And it's just nice that we still have got that player who has that much experience that can just still come on and get us 3 points. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow, I do think Rachel shouldn't start. Sometimes I think, oh, she deserves it. She does so well, but she's a better sub and she can't play for as long as the others. She does tire easier, I feel. So, I mean, yeah. And also, the thing about the Arsenal shirt, you can hate me for this, but I really disagree with it. I think one club, one shirt. I saw it and I was like, to me, that's just put in, like, not a different sport, but why should the women have to wear something different? And yeah, I didn't like that. I think if Man United did that, I'd be really upset, to be honest, because I just think it's one sport, one club, one team, and yeah, I disagree with that. And not just because it's Arsenal, I wouldn't like it if Man United did it either. You wouldn't see me wearing that
Could
shirt.
be a very clever marketing ploy, though, because it's another shirt that the fans have got to go and buy. So if they're supporting the men and the women, that's
Won't
another
be
60 quid.
Definitely won't be buying.
That's it. That's where I put my foot down. Not having 5 shirts. Yeah. No, good points. Good points, one and all. But again, looking forward to tomorrow's game. Laura, I did do a little bit of research in the 4.5 minutes that Connor gave me in advice. He gave me a little bit longer than that to prepare. And I did find a rather interesting website that was talking a little bit about possible changes to the lineup that you were just talking about. Now, their suggestion was getting rid of Zinsberger, bringing in D'Angelo, because Zinsberger's just not quite been at it lately, apparently, and possibly could have saved the goal against Liverpool. And then also potentially Ilstat and Pilova instead of Beatty and Wubben-Moy, change up the defence a little bit, but not so much change with regards to the attack. I took a little look at the Arsenal website just to double check some of your players. Obviously, Cooney Cross, Hurtig, Gio from last time, Blackstenius were names that sort of came up. Are there any changes that you would make moving into the game tomorrow if you were in charge and it wasn't the new 3-year contract guy?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think I'd play a 4-3-3. I know previously we've kind of played a 5 at the back, and I think Jonas might stick with that. Certainly bring Ilestedt in. I wouldn't be against the D'Angelo for Zinsberger change. I don't know if anyone saw the goal she conceded for Austria recently, but essentially it's kind of came towards her, like her to catch, and she kind of just pushed it into the back of her own net. It was very odd. If you want to laugh at an Arsenal player, go and watch that. But yeah, it was very strange goalkeeping from her. So more than happy to see the D'Angelo change because I think she's pretty good. I think Palova looked really good when she came on. She looked really good going forward. It's how you fit this Arsenal team together, I think, is the kind of crux of it, because we've got an abundance of players that kind of play in a forward line or in kind of a more attacking role in midfield. It's just how do you fit that all in? So yeah, I think, and then you've got, I think Blackstenius looked really good when she came on, but we've got Russo, we've signed Russo, so does it feel like we have to back Russo? And she clearly seems to do well in these games, so I'm not averse to having her on. But yeah, I think there's definitely changes that should be made. Whether Jonas will, I think some of the starting decisions against Liverpool were because of the World Cup, and maybe he's going to have to go, you know what, out the window. We're playing United. We've got to start what I see as my strongest 11. I think it'll be really interesting to see what Jonas actually thinks is his strongest 11. But yeah, there's definitely changes to be made. I think interesting that it was Wubben-Moy and Beattie out, because I'm assuming that means they're going to a 4 at the back if you're taking both of those out. To kind of, but then Catley would be centre back. So yeah, interesting from that point of view. I think definitely Palova and Ilestedt to come in. I'm not sure how that would kind of look when you're taking people out. It depends on the formation.
Interesting ideas and interesting points. We will be getting to Russo. Don't worry, she's very much on the agenda. In fact, it's the next item after this one. But we need to speak to Victoria about Manchester United, of course, because that's what you're here for. We are talking about how you're going to change the team. Would you change the team? We saw a few little cameos, but ultimately the side that went out there did really well for the start of it. There were some people saying that maybe Hayley Ladd wasn't as effective as she usually is. So would there potentially be a change in there? Would you change the front three at all? Would you still stick with Jays up front? Would you be Garcia? Is it a chance for Mallard to get a game? Are we going to see Nielsen? Any changes you would make to that starting 11 for tomorrow?
Firstly, I just want to say it was really nice to hear, Laura, that you said that you needed to put your strongest line up to against us, because up until last year we never had that, and it kind of sent me shivers when you said it, because I thought that's really nice to hear, the fact that people are actually recognising us as a good club now. But anyway, I wouldn't change the starting 11 tomorrow unless Mary needed a rest. But no, I wouldn't change the starting 11. I mean, it was really funny because I was on the show where we chose our starting 11, and the starting 11 was exactly what we chose. I was like, yes, see, we do listen, and he's listening to us. But yeah, so I wouldn't change the starting 11. The only thing I would do is I would have Mallard come on, because I want to see what she's got, and I feel like she'd be very interesting, because Arsenal aren't going to know how she plays, and it'll be really good. And yeah, that's it. Instead of Nikita, I didn't think she'd. And I mean, she had she put the cross into Rach, I think, didn't she? But I don't think she had a great game when she came on. I think she either has good days or bad days, and I didn't think it was a great day for her. So that's the only thing I would do, is I'd have, let's see, some fresh legs on there, a fresh face that they're not going to know what she's doing.
Seems reasonable to me. So strap yourself in, kids, because it's about to get a bit choppy here at All for United, because it's time. It is time. In the red corner, we have got literally the entirety of Manchester. In the blue corner, we have got literally all of Arsenal. And it's Russo. We've got to speak about her. We've got to mention it because it was one of the most acrimonious partings I think we've seen in women's football ever. You know, if I'm brutally honest, it takes me back to the time when Sol Campbell had his little switch between Spurs and Arsenal. And you're too young to remember that. But my goodness, was there a bit of a furore then? Yes, there was. So it was a heck of a thing. From your point of view, Laura, how are you feeling with regards to having Russo? You alluded to her in your last answer, but obviously she scored the winner against you at the Emirates. She scored the winner against you at LSB. In a way, you've taken the person who gave us our 6 points. Obviously, that's been a little bit harsh to Tooney and to Turner, of course, who had to score and get us level respectively. But how does it feel to have Alessia Russo? And are you worried at all about how she's going to react to what I feel could be a relatively hostile crowd? I would not want to be Alessia Russo or her family, because I do feel it's going to be quite a loud section of boos. Just my thoughts. I won't be booing, mainly because I'm not there. So no one will hear me if I do. But there we go. I have a feeling Vic might. What's your thoughts?
I think she's certainly a statement signing, and I love being on the receiving end of that. And I think potentially does show there's still a bit of a status difference. I've been nice so far. I think the comment from Jennifer is quite interesting. The starting 11 is the backbone for the WSL. I think that's very not had Champions League before view of the WSL, because I don't think that would have been possible for Arsenal last season. I don't think it's possible if you've got both of those competitions. I think more and more teams need to rotate over the season. So I think that'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the season with United. But yeah, on Russo, I think she's come with a story that's kind of bigger than her, in the sense that she's now surrounded by all this hype. We've got this game early on, and I think that's quite a big thing, which is potentially overshadowing her as a player. And I think for Arsenal, it's about, are we fitting the system around her? Because it's a bit of a strange one, because I don't think she's necessarily the type of player that is everything that Arsenal needed. I think it's a statement signing, and it's great to have her, and to make that move from United to Arsenal is huge. But I think you've also got this element of she's still just a signing, and how is she going to work within our system? And I think that's what we're still working out. And obviously we saw glimpses of how that could work in that Paris game, and that was really exciting from an Arsenal perspective. And if we can get that right and we can support her in the right way, I think it could be an incredibly good signing. But it's getting that right and giving her that support. I don't know how she'll handle the kind of hostility. I think it's a very personal one. I know myself playing sport, I love a bit of hostility. Like, yeah, boo me then, go on, like, I'll score against you kind of thing. Or even just like, yeah, I'm in a different shirt and you've lost me. But whether that will affect her, I think it puts that pressure on the first touch, the first shot. What if you get them right, you're in that mentality of, yeah, I'm going to prove it wrong to you. But if you get them wrong, it's suddenly everything's against you, and you've kind of got to find your rhythm, and it becomes a lot harder. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how she starts that match. And I think potentially Arsenal's game will be won maybe in those first 10 minutes if it comes down to Russo.
Going to be really, really interesting. And Vic, like I said, other side of the ring, other side of the corner. The whole thing with Russo, I mean, it hurts us. We have to be honest, because when she comes out and puts this put together highlights package of what it means to wear the Man United shirt and how she lived a dream and everything's great, I think that was if there was a moment where things really started to turn, it was there. I think there was probably a bit more 50-50. Some people were like, well, all right, she's going to go, it is what it is. We've lost her. When that came out, I, as a Man United fan, couldn't understand it, because if I was a Man United fan, which I am, and I get to Manchester United and I play, and I get an offer to stay at United or an offer to go to another club, I'm going to stay at Man United because I'm a Man United fan. I can't envisage a point where I sit there and go, well, I'm a Man United fan. It's an absolute privilege. And it's the thing that I've enjoyed the most in my life. And it's such a brilliant thing that actually I need to try new things. It doesn't register with me. And I think the problem is that doesn't register with any Man United fans. And I would probably say as well to you, Laura, that if that was the other way around and it was an Arsenal player coming to Man United and they profess, like Leah Williamson potentially coming to United, it'd be a bit of a shock.
It took me, Robin Van Persie was my favourite player for like my whole childhood, completely obsessed with him. And it genuinely took me like years to get over that. I absolutely hated him for years. I don't think, even in the past few years, I think is the only time I've actually got over that. And yeah, I do completely understand that opposite way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So with that in mind, Vic, what I articulated there, does that articulate your experience of Russo, or is yours slightly different with how you feel?
One word: betrayal. That's all I can say. I honestly just think there's loyal players. There's football, there's being loyal, and there's also being human. Like, I actually just don't understand. I mean, I think we're better for it. Like, honestly, I do. Like, I do think we I got distracted by that then. I do think that maybe she was homesick, like that comment said, but she's not living at home. She's in a new house. And like, I'm not gonna, like you said about Van Persie, I mean, I'm not gonna be like that. I'm literally over it now, and I cannot wait for tomorrow, like, to boo the hell out of that stadium. Like, I cannot wait, and I just think she deserves it, because I think there's things going around that we didn't give her a farewell and all this and all that. And you think to yourself, like, but we didn't know she was going. Like, she gave us nothing, no inkling at all. Like, I don't even know if the players knew. And I just think to myself, like, it showed that when she put it on Instagram that day and everything she put it on, there was literally Tuni shared it and said, good luck to my friend. Well, she put a message on her YouTube, didn't she? The rest of them, nothing. And all the others that have left, always been comments, always been shared, good luck, good luck, good luck. She got nothing. And I just think to myself, like, there's no wonder. And I think our players are going to be out for her tomorrow. And I hope they are, because let's take her down.
It's going to be super interesting. I mean, there's lots of points going on. You talk about loyalty. Can't ever see Tooney leaving, or Zellum for that matter. They're at where they want to be. And
Millie Turner, may I add.
And Millie Turner. And I think that's the key thing for me. You look at Ella Toon. I mean, I joke about it all the time, but I'm sure she's contracted until like 2097. She just keeps on extending it every year. So how many more can we add on? So I don't know. I think it's going to be a really, really tricky one. But
that last thing as well, that last comment where it said, be where you want to be, or something like that. Like, play for United if you want to play for United. Like, if you don't want to play for us, off you go. Like, that is the way I see it all the time. Like, if you don't want to do a sport, for one thing, don't do it. Like, I have horses. If I don't want to ride the horse, what's the point in doing it because you're not loving it? Like, if you want to leave, off you pop. Like, off you go. And I do stick by that all the time. If you don't want to be here, then leave.
Very true. Well, One Man 75 said, I hope that Russo doesn't get a hostile reception tomorrow. It was very disappointing to lose her, but she was a great player for us. Hopefully it won't affect the rest of the team too much. I don't know. I think it's going to be affecting a lot of them. I think Russo is going to be out to try and prove herself against us and try and get a little bit of something, where equally I'm sure that the rest of the team will as well. Emma, though, says, I think she needs to know how she's made United fans feel. It's a betrayal. Gypsy King has just literally gone, Alessia Judas Russo. So, yeah, I think those three words absolutely encapsulate how we feel.
Hopefully the same happens to what happened to Leon the other day.
Well, I was going to bring this up. I was going to bring that up because, Laura, you've been around the women's game, I think, far longer than I. If we were to get that level of hostility, because there was some booing going on between United fans and Leon, which was precipitated by the fact that Leon decided to run at the United fans once they scored a goal and then give it the old big ears and sort of what you're saying sort of thing, as if the fans had ever really beaten her down, which they just hadn't. There was some people that didn't like Leon. There were some people that did. Like, generally, she was like just in the middle. People weren't talking about her as much as I think she seemed to think she was. Have you seen the level of hostility that we think could be coming? We could be completely wrong. It could be they turn out and there's just a few people with a couple of sausage rolls booing and it's nowhere near as bad as we think. But if it's going to be as bad as it sounds like it's going to be, have you really seen that in the women's game much? Because I don't think I've ever really seen it sort of directed towards players in the manner that it seems to be coming out this season.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I think, there's been big transfers before where players have gone to rivals. I remember when Steph Houghton left Arsenal to go to Man City. That hurt me, but it wasn't like, it was kind of like, oh, well, it's understandable because City are just winning everything at the moment. And there wasn't really that rivalry, even though they probably were the biggest rivals at that point in time. So I think it's quite exciting, to be honest. I think as long as it doesn't spill over into anything more, bring on some hostility in the women's game, bring on some fan rivalry. I think it's what the game needs. It adds that atmosphere. And that's how the crowds are going to get bigger and bring that atmosphere, because you feel like you're part of something then, I think. I think it's exciting. Obviously, you don't want hate or abuse or anything like that. And when it spills over into that's absolutely wrong. But a bit of booing at a football match, that sounds great to me. Like, bring on the rivalry.
I agree, if I'm brutally honest. High Lane's come in and he seems to be taking the high road. To be fair, we don't know what her mindset was making that decision. Just going to leave that one there. Given what's since come out about Mary, there's obviously a reason so many big players have chosen to or want to leave. Well, using that theory that you've just come up with, but we don't know that Mary Earps wanted to leave because she hasn't. So maybe she didn't. This is the thing with all these things that go on behind the scenes. You're never quite sure. But this is a bit, you might be right with what you said before, but this one, being a fan of the club doesn't necessarily mean you want to stay there as a job. I'll break it down, in my opinion. If United offer 50 grand a week, and I don't know how much was offered, but if United offer that and Arsenal offer that, I'm going to stick with United because they're both in exactly the same thing. If anything, we had more chance of being in the Champions League than they did because they had to go through 2 rounds. We only have to go through 1. Granted, still got to go and meet PSG. It's not the easiest thing to do. I'm not even saying that we will, but you would argue the odds were slightly more in our favour. So I don't know. You're right. It doesn't necessarily mean you want to stay there as a job, but don't then come out and tell us what a wonderful club Man United is. Now it's your boy, your girlhood dream and all of that sort of thing, because it just doesn't wash, I don't think, with some of the United fans. And absolutely, Dave, it's just the manner that she left that hurts. Look at Honor. She left. She was just as loved. And actually, there we go. I'm a United fan wearing another team's dishcloth. Shit. Very good, Dave. Well done. You've made me chuckle again. So there we go. We've kind of exhausted through where we were in terms of that. The Mary Earps question, Laura, that there has been rumours that maybe Mary might want to be going to Arsenal. There was the fact that she liked a couple of Arsenal posts while we were sort of mid-drama. Number one, can you see Mary Earps coming to Arsenal? And number two, it's a stupid question, but I'll ask it. Would you welcome Mary Earps instead of Manuela Zinsberger or D'Angelo?
I'd love Mary at Arsenal. I just enjoyed the whole Rima saga. I enjoyed seeing United fans getting a bit riled about it. I'm from Nottingham, so is Mary, so I'd love to have someone from Nottingham at Arsenal. Obviously, world-class keeper, so I don't think any club's going to turn her down. But yeah, I don't know whether I can see her. I think she's likely, if she leaves, to go abroad, if I'm honest. I don't think she would go to Arsenal. I think she has a bit more about her than to go to a rival. But I would love it if she did. And it's obviously happened before. So, I just enjoy the drama of it, to be honest, and the fact that Arsenal are being linked.
So there we go. We've got it. Laura loves a bit of the drama. Chad, I believe so. There's so many things you could read. There's people that say that we didn't offer anything and that Arsenal's was better. There's people that say it was the same. I can't see a world in which you turn down a world record bid for a player and then don't at least match what they're offering. I mean, that would be mental. Why would you do that? You just take the world record fee, surely, if you weren't intending to pay the money to keep someone. So it doesn't register for me, especially when you then go out and buy someone like Jay's, who's not going to be coming for £5.50 in a Mars bar. You know, she's clearly going to be expecting a fair bit of wedge as well. She's just come from Barcelona, and they throw money around like it's confetti. So, you know, it doesn't make sense in my head. I'm very much Judge Rinder like that. You know, what's the most likely to make sense? And to me, on the balance of probability, yes, it's that. To you then, Vic, Mary Earps, she's not going to Arsenal, is she? Surely that's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'd be very shocked if she did. I just don't think she's that type of person. Like, her interviews, they just don't come. It doesn't come across for me. But to be honest, if she did go, like Laura said, I think she would go abroad. And I think she'd want to play Barcelona or something like that. But again, like last year, if it had happened, we'd be all literally cacking ourselves because we'd be like, who are we going to have? But this year, we've got another great goalkeeper, so she's lined up and ready to go, and she's raring to go. Do you know what I mean? She's going to push Mary, and that's what we need. And if that pushes her out, then, like I said about Alessia, then don't be here if you don't want to be. If you don't want the competition that you've never really had before, then that's not going to be you being the best you've been. So, whatever. But no, I don't think she's going anywhere.
Okay, Dave's full on one today. United have upgraded with Jays and downgraded with Russo. So, a bit harsh. And this comment of the night, Jennifer, I love that. We won't need the HS2 if Mary joins Arsenal. But Mary might, because she probably want to get there quicker. But there we go. What a moment that is, Rishi. Goodness me. Politics coming into All for United now. Whatever next. So then I think really we're just sort of left with what we think the score is going to be. So, Laura, as the visitor, you get the chance to guess first. Are you in our predictions league?
I'm not. I know it's terrible for me.
If you were in our predictions league, what would you have guessed for today? Or for tomorrow, sorry.
You see, I hate predictions. For games like this, this has been tormenting me, this decision of, do I predict Arsenal because I'm an Arsenal fan and should back my club? Do I predict United because I just think I'm going to jinx it if I predict Arsenal and we're never going to win? Or do I go with my gut instinct, which is still an Arsenal loss, but then I feel like I'm not backing my own team? So I really don't know. I don't want to be quoted as saying United are going to beat Arsenal, but at the same time, if I predict Arsenal are going to win, then it will also haunt me. So I don't really. I think I'm going to go 2-1 United, an absolute heartbreak for me. I'll be fine crying tomorrow.
I don't know if it's going to be a consolation if we do win 2-1 and you're going, well, we lost, but at least I got my prediction right on All for United.
That's the hope. That's the aim of that.
That'll be about it on that one.
Can't lose now.
Tony, I completely forgot to come to your question earlier on, because you asked how many tickets Arsenal had sold, and I think I'm right in saying they were given 1,000. Does that sound about right, Laura? Do you know?
Honestly, don't know. I looked to get one, but they were sold out when I looked, so that sounds...
I'm pretty sure it was 1,000. I don't know where I've read that, but I think it was 1,000 they were given, and that they'd sold them out. But I don't know. I think I've read that in one place, so it's not a verified source at this point. So I can't remember who wrote it. Could have been anyone. Could have been Chris Ratcliffe, and I don't know him, so I don't know if he's true or not. But there we go. Chris has gone 3-1 United. Iona, hello. She's gone 3-1 United. Jennifer can't call the score, but my wish for 3 points because we need them. So very much getting splinters at the moment. Have I missed it? Says Paul. If you mean the song, no. If you mean anything else, absolutely. We've been going for 59 minutes. What do you think we've been doing? Juan Man. I've gone that wrong. Juan Man. There we go. United 2-0 win for me. Garcia and Tooney to score. James going for another 3-2 with Rachel Williams 93rd minute winner. I think he's just been watching the Villa game back, or perhaps the United one against Arsenal, but just changing who it's going to be. So some big ones there. Vic, where do you see it going?
Well, I don't know why, but I've got 2-0 in my head. United, obviously. And Tooney goal and a Jay's goal. I still can't say her name. But I don't know why. I've got a feeling Tooney's going to score tomorrow and she's going to do something and it's just going to be absolutely hilarious. And I'm going to be there like cheering my head off. Yeah. Or like Alessia, she's quite clumsy. She's probably got past the wrong player.
Very interesting.
Tooney.
Ryan doesn't care. Just lets whoop Arsenal. So he's going for just about any score, which is lovely. Gypsy King 3-1 with Jays scoring 2. I really do hope Jays gets off the mark today or tomorrow. Why do I keep saying today? It's not been that long of a show. Tomorrow, that would be amazing. Dave is telling me off. He's gone 4,054 season tickets sold this season, so Arsenal won't get that many tickets to play Countdown, because you just told me it's a 12,000-seater stadium. So by my reckoning, that is 7,946 tickets still available. And if we're giving away ends, which you'd imagine we probably are, because we're starting to try and turn into a proper football club that gives proper away ends as well as taking proper away ends, I would argue that a 1,000 away end for Arsenal probably wouldn't be that bad. But where you might be right, Dave, is would 1,000 Arsenal fans be coming up on a Friday evening to Manchester? That one is a slightly trickier one, because as a sort of born and bred London guy myself, I'm not convinced I could make it there if I finished work at 3:30 and definitely be there in time for kickoff. So that would be an interesting one, but who knows? That's just what I read. And 3-0 Jays 2 and Tooney with a wonder strike, says Dave. Do you know, I don't know what the score is going to be. I don't want to feel too confident. I'm the opposite to Laura here, insofar as I don't want to be sat there going, oh yeah, going to smash them. Absolutely. Because we just probably get smashed 5-0 with Russo scoring 4. So I think that factor has to be taken into it. So I'm going to take the high road myself. And I think maybe 3-1. I don't know. I feel like defensively we've been pretty good. And we haven't spoken much about the defence, but obviously ours was the best last year. And the only thing that's changed is honour. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. They could fly up and walk back. Yeah, they could. So, yeah, I'm going to go 3-1. I do think Jays is going to score. And, yeah, it'd be nice. That's the only one I'm going to predict. Jays, I don't know if anyone else will score. I'd like to think so. Otherwise, it won't be 3-1. Oh, hello. Here we go. United, you're too confident, but you might be shocked. Yes, that's life. Absolutely. That's exactly how football works. And you can only be confident. I agree with how the women are performing at the moment. They've been superb. So there we go. Well, that's almost it for the preview. I'm going to give you guys a chance to tell people where we'll find you in a bit, but I have a couple of public service announcements that I've been asked to give. So if you would just bear with me just for a moment or two. The first of which is the All for United Prediction League. Are you in it, Victoria? That was a nod. She said,
I think I'm like joint 6th or something at the moment.
Nobody likes to show off. I think I was joint 56 or something like that. I only got 6 points.
Let's hope my prediction for tomorrow is right.
I'd have got a lot more, but then Arsenal just sort of did me over by allowing Liverpool to win.
I don't think anyone got that one right.
No, I don't think anyone did. Actually, no, there was a couple that decided to go for a Liverpool win, and I've asked those people for the lottery numbers because that was absolutely unreal. So, yeah, some people did crazy times. But, yes, if you have joined our Predi League, brilliant, well done. Hope you enjoy it. More importantly, knock, you've got to get your stuff to us by Friday at kickoff, because if it misses the Friday kickoff, we ain't taking them. Doesn't matter what else goes on. So get your 6 there. We're very strict on these sort of things, especially as it's Connor's money. So there we go. That's that one. The second public servant announcement is, I can't even say it. I'm so tired. I've got to work again tomorrow. I can't believe it. It's not Friday. We've been nominated for the FCAs, which is really great. And we'd like your support. If you've enjoyed what you've been watching, and 63 of you are sat here watching it right now and have stayed to watch this. So whether you're an Arsenal fan, whether you're a Man United fan, if you appreciate what we're doing here on this channel, which I hope you do, because we try our best for it not to be all nonsensical and all that sort of stuff, it'd be amazing if you could vote for us. It's a rather technical thing. You just go on Twitter and you put a blurb out, just go onto our Twitter, you'll find it. There's quite a few people that have written it, but just saying that you're going to support us, or you can go on the Instagram post and just tag us underneath it. Or you can visit the FCA's website and you'll find us in the creators category. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be amazing. Like and subscribe while you're here if you haven't already. That would be superb too. Vic, if people wanted to find out a little bit more about you, maybe get in touch with you, see some of your stuff that you might be tweeting about, would you welcome that? Would you like people to come and follow you? And if so, where would they do that?
So my Instagram's here because I use my Instagram more than Twitter. But my Twitter is VicWally3 as well. But yeah, I don't really post as much, but I'm always busy. I post when I'm at the games and I do updates when I can, but mainly on my Instagram, not my Twitter.
Excellent stuff. And Laura, same for you. Anything you want to shout out? Anything that people should be aware of? And where can people find you should they wish to?
Yeah, just the Twitter, which is in my little name there. Most things are on there. Hopefully you get a bit more exciting because I'm studying journalism, so there might be a bit more excitement on there. But yeah, if we lose, then it might be quite entertaining for you guys to follow me on tomorrow evening anyway.
There we go. And if you do, be nice to her if it does go the other way around, or you'll have me to answer to. Right. The moment's here, Laura. I'm sorry. So they were trying to ask of songs that could be sung about Alessia Russo, and I was sat there just spitballing ideas in my head whilst it was going. I came up with one. Sorry?
You were so quick.
It was ridiculously quick. I've got to be honest. I impressed myself. But now I feel under pressure because at the time it was just a gag and now it seems to be growing into something. So I shall give it my very best and then you can just rate it out of 10 and see how you feel about it. So here, that's outrageous, Connor. How dare you? Yeah, it's time to switch off a bit at the end when we do your song, which is very nearly there too. So here we go. Her name is Alessia Russo. We thought she'd stay, but she chose to go. She wanted Europe, but now the Gooner's out. She had a brain fart without a chuffing doubt. What do you reckon?
It's got some interesting lyrics. I think I like the tune. I like a good chant. To be fair, I give credit for that. But yeah, I think. From an Arsenal, I like it for the rivalry, but yeah, from an Arsenal perspective, I can't be backing that.
Okay, so Laura's not really singing that.
My favourite ever. Well, now it's, to be fair, now it's Connor's. But my favourite ever chant was that one last year. Obviously, it weren't them lyrics, but I was more gutted about that than going to Arsenal. That I'd lost the chant. I love that chant.
There we go.
I like that one better now.
Lovely. People are loving it. Dave's had a happy time. He's going to bed happy, which is wonderful. Sandel's laughing at me, which is great. Chad's loving it too. So there you go. It gives you a little something to shout at the screen on Friday night, especially if Alessia misses a goal or anything like that. Of course, if she scores, probably won't go down quite so well and maybe probably shouldn't be sung. So there we go. Listen, it's been cracking. An hour and 8 minutes. We've had a wonderful evening. Unfortunately, we didn't see our fourth Arsenal fan. So well done, Laura, for batting everything away as you have done there all by yourself against two nasty Manchester United fans who tried their best not to be too bad. We're going to leave it there. It's been rather wonderful. And as is customary, shall we leave it with Connor's quiff is 2 feet tall, 2 feet tall, 2 feet tall. Connor's quiff is 2 feet tall. He hates Brill cream. Good night.